27. Thank you everyone for coming along tonight. There's heaps and heaps of people here. Gary's here, Carmen, Linda, Sean, Joshua. I saw the boys from Darkside there earlier. We're on. Matt and Heath and Joshua. It's great to have you here. So tonight, we're going to have a bit of a giveaway, as we always do. And to win tonight's prize, sorry I forgot to grab it, is a deluxe gold pan kit. So the deluxe gold pan kit is actually, it's a bit hard to see on that, in that box, but it's actually that fella there. So it's got the 4 pans in it, it's got the DVD in it, it's got the book in it, it's got the little vial and tweezers and snuffer bottle and everything in it. It's also got the new gravity trap pan in it from Garrett, so it's a fantastic little setup, that job. So all you have to do to win that prize is to share tonight's live stream. That's it. I've also got 2 more mugs I'm going to give away tonight. So share this live stream, and we'll see if we can get a few people here tonight. So right, so got Treasure Hunters New South Wales. They had a nice recovery. They were mentioning earlier on the in the comment section there. They had a good recovery through the week. They do a bit of recovery stuff on the coast. Cleggy's here. Cleggy, this is 2 nights you haven't been to poker. The boys will be thinking you've gone broke or something. So yes. So, g'day Clyde, how are we going? So tonight we're going to, I've got a stack of questions here. I have a whole stack of questions from the last couple of weeks. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the, about basics, okay? So it's really the starting out detectorist. We get a lot of questions, here about what's the best machine to start with, what does pulse induction mean, what's ground balancing, all that sort of thing. So so tonight we're going to do a little bit of that, and while it's probably a more beginner's night, I don't want you experienced people to go to get all bored. So if you can help out with any questions in the stream, that'd be fantastic. That'd be really good. So someone said, how did we go out at Warwick? We had a good trip out to Warwick. We didn't go last week. I actually did a prospect. I'm trying to walk on to a bit of a. There's an old lease that I like the look of that's been abandoned for 20 years, and I did about 700 k's in one day, basically all the way around a state forest here in I suppose southern Queensland, and trying to find a way into this spot. So I drove 700 k's, didn't pull a pan out of the car or a detector out of the car, and still couldn't get onto it. So I've done a little bit of video, I've done some aerial stuff, I've looked into it a little bit further, and I believe I can get onto it. So so we didn't actually go out to Warwick this week. So we're actually planning to go out this week, I think. So yeah, so I've done a little bit of video about what I take for those really sort of remote, remote sort of prospect. You don't know quite what you're going to find. So we'll do a bit of a video on that at some stage, sort of thing. And the whole point of this, the whole point of me going out and trying to identify a few of these areas is I want to be able to go out and work out a way to actually put a claim in or a lease in, so that we can, you know, see if it's very expensive, and so, you know, it's easy for people to do. I'm trying to work out that system. The most amazing thing through the week is that I was less than 2 hours from Brisbane, a capital city, and this will be the same in every capital city across Australia. I was only 2 hours from the capital city, and I could have been a million miles from anywhere. It was so remote. When you start going up some of these back roads and these roads, it is so remote in some places. So fantastic. I loved every minute of it, to be honest with you. So, but yeah, 7 hours of driving to not end up with finding a way in. It was full on. So, right. Yes. So. We've got some people here from India. G'day Siva, I think it is. Andrew's here, Christopher, Baz. Baz is in the swag by the look of it. Lynn, Kathy, and Baz is in Denali. So don't forget on the 23rd we've got that Gold Advanced Training Facebook. It's a closed group. So I think you really need to know someone to get in there, it'll be a good little get together at Denali. So if you're still in your swag down there, Baz, you might have some company. So the Young Guns are here. The Damo and the boys, all the guys from Young Guns are here. G'day guys. Yes. So. We've got Alfonso from the UK. So there's a lot of internationals here tonight. So anyway, so when we're talking about beginners, whether you're talking about beginning with kids, or whether you're talking about more advanced stuff, beginning, like that's a a really good quality machine. So it doesn't matter whether you're talking about kids or really good quality gear, it doesn't matter as long as you are looking for stuff that you're interested in. So first of all, is identify, my first tip is to identify what you're interested in. If your interest is for gold, there is no point getting one of these. So, so identify what you're interested in. So if you're interested in military relics or beach detecting or gold, go and get a machine and understand the technology behind that machine, that style of machine, because there is no point buying a machine that's not going to fit the purpose. So that's the most important thing out of everything. Oh no, here we go again. Well, I've got to put this up here. Where's Sean? So if this is here we go. So Sean, it's going to start a drinking time every time I take my glasses on and off. I'd be very careful with that, Sean. You shouldn't have told me about that, because I could make that fairly uncomfortable, mate. Because I don't mind taking my glasses on and off. So yes. So yeah, drinking game, that's fine. I'll have everyone here in the first half an hour and everyone falling over themselves in the last half an hour. So right, the other thing, my next little tip here, and feel free to jump in with any questions. I'll try and grab any questions as they go through. is to buy a brand name detector. I don't care if it's a Garrett, a Minelab, XP, you know, any brand, but buy a brand name. I had a guy come in today, and he may even be watching tonight. There you go, drink up, boys. A guy came in today, he spent $480, I think it was, on a GF2, Gold Finder 2, straight from China, doesn't work. Couldn't even get it to run, and of course, no comeback, just gone. So, so that's the risk you take when you're buying from China. Also, if you buy from the reputable Australian guys, you will get someone where you can pick up the phone and go, how the hell do I work this thing? And particularly if you're looking at a more expensive machine, they can be quite complicated if you haven't started with a machine, with a machine. So they can be quite complicated. So you need that. You need someone to say, how does this thing work? So, right, so, right, so Baz just asked a question, where does your money go? Where does the money go when you buy a miner's right? Well, Baz, I think you'll find there's a term the government called consolidated revenue. So it just goes into a big bucket for them to spend everything else on. So, so that's the other thing. So, yeah. Here's another little thing with Mark here. Went to El Dorado, Victoria. Fire still burning and camps covered in rubbish. That's pretty ordinary, Mark. Unfortunately, that happens a little bit across the country, but we just have to do our best to keep the place tidy. And yeah, so right, so. Yes, so watch out for these cheap knockoffs from China. They are horrible. Like, for instance, all the Australian retailers are all on eBay. So you can buy some good machines off eBay and Amazon. Like, we're on eBay, we're on Amazon, we even do some stuff on Gumtree, you know. But if it says 14 to 37 days, 39 days delivery, you know that's coming from China. So, you know, so that would be my thing. And we, like for instance, we give some, so for instance, we give with every machine that's for prospecting, we give a USB stick that's got 12,000 mine locations on it to start you on the right track with your research. Now that's only available from us if you buy a machine. We don't sell it separately, but that's what it's all about. So, yes. So, okay. So, GPS tips, we might be able to, yes, we'll look at some of those. So, a lot of beginners ask what the difference is between pulse induction and VLF, okay? So, so this is not a technical description of what a pulse is and what a VLF machine is, but it's a layman's description. So a pulse induction machine is like a radar. It sends a signal out, waits for it to come back, and tells you what's in the ground. Where a VLF machine is more like a radio signal, listening for static in the ground, and that's why, depending on the type of static that comes back, that's why a VLF machine can give you an idea of what the target is. Now, there are people listening to this tonight that will cringe at that description, but it is probably the easiest way I can work out to describe to people what the two different technologies are. So, they're the two different technologies. Yes, so they're the two different technologies. So most people, virtually everyone should start out with a VLF machine, and a VLF machine tells you what the target is before you dig it out, and is very, very much simpler to use than a pulse induction machine. With a pulse induction machine, you've virtually got to dig every target. You take that to a park or a beach and it will just drive you absolutely insane. So, okay. So, there's a lot of chatter there about licenses. So, in most states, you need a fossicking license for fossicking. Detecting on the beach or in parks or military camps and that sort of thing is not fossicking, so you don't need a fossicking license for it. So, so don't think you need to go and get a fossicking license for the beach. In fact, in a lot of states, that it mentions in the Fossicking Act that you still don't need a fossicking license if you happen to find a gemstone or gold, right, in the act of looking for something else. So if you're hitting parks if you're in Claremont and you're hitting the parks looking for old coins and you come across a gold nugget, happy days. You don't need a license for that. So, that's a good thing about licenses. So now, I will cover a few of these machines a bit later. There's a whole stack of questions about 705s and Noxes and AT Maxes and all that sort of stuff. So we'll do a little bit of that later on, but it's like going down a bit going down the rabbit hole with that, because there's so many machines, and then you leave out the Technetics, and the Technetics boys get cranky, and because we're biased towards one. But tonight's prize, deluxe gold pan kit. So we need to share this post, share this live stream to get the to go in the entry. In about 45 minutes, we'll draw this. We'll randomly choose someone who shared this live stream. So go ahead and share the live stream, and we'll draw that in about 45 minutes. Right. So let's just to mix things up a little bit. We are last week and the last few weeks, we've had stacks of questions about jackets, shirts. Last week we got a lot of questions about beanies because it's starting to get cold. We will have a range of stuff coming out, clothing wise. So I think there's caps, there's beanies, there's shirts, there's all sorts of stuff. So they're coming out in the next few weeks. I actually want to buy all this gear in to test it, because we're using one of those companies that make it up per order and send it direct to you guys. So, so I want to order a whole stack of this gear in to make sure it's a decent quality before we go and sell it to you guys, sort of thing. And it won't be there won't be much profit in it at all, really. But we'll get it out to you at a reasonable price, and get the Gold Diggers and the Monday Night Live name out. So we're going to do Gold Diggers gear with the Gold Diggers logo, which is that logo. Not this one, this is the old logo, but this one. And then we're also doing some Monday Night Live logos as well. So that'll be interesting. So there's whole stacks of merchandise coming, and we can go from there. Right, let's talk about coils. I've even got a bit of a graphic up here. So I'll just shrink me down here. And right, so coils. Double D coils, like over the far side there. A double D coil is like a knife edge shape. You can see the shape of it there. A concentric coil, which is basically a round coil, will give you a cone shape. Okay, so now there's advantages to the double D coil is that in that it doesn't hear, there's not as much ground underneath the coil, so you don't hear as much mineralisation. So they're easier to drive than what some of the concentric coils are if you go into that really highly mineralised ground. So that's the advantage of the double D coil. Now, as far as small coils and big coils go deep, small coils go fairly shallow. You can see there by that graphic there, the small coils going very shallow, big coils go deep. So what that actually means though is if you've got a big coil that's going very, very deep into the ground, it will miss fine targets. So if you're out in the goldfields and you want to find every single fine target, you want to put a smaller coil on it. And that's why a lot of the guys are putting a small double D coil on some of like the AT Maxes and some of those sort of machines, high-end VLF machines, out in the goldfields, because you've got less ground underneath the coil with the double D, and with a VLF machine you want to pick up every little tiny target. So that's why you put tiny little coil on it and double D, and you'll pick up those little tiny targets. You will miss the deep targets, no problem at all. You won't hear them, but you've got to pick your battles. Pulse induction I find a little different. You tend to get, it's a different type of coil, it's a monocoil. But yes, pulse induction is the other alternative, is the other type of machine, and you would probably want to put a, like I tend to find most people are running monocoils on that. So yeah, so let's stick with those VLF machines for the time being. Yeah, like Clive's talking about 12-inch Evos. These are all aftermarket coils that you can put on the machine. There's stacks of coils. Lots of the VLF guys are going to Nell coils. Nell coils seem to outperform standard coils generally, depending on what you're looking for. Some of those big coils from Nell are too big, unless you're looking for big buried targets and that sort of thing. It can be they're a hard coil to run. So, okay. Yes, so we're looking at putting, like there's a question here from Michael, and David's got one about the Gold Diggers patches. We're looking at putting a stack of all the Garrett caps, all the Technetics caps, XP caps. We're looking at putting a stack of caps in the shop that you'll be able to purchase. We're also looking at what shirts are available from the suppliers, because I know a lot of people want to buy. So for instance, who was that? That was one of the Michael there wanted to look at buying a AT Max shirt. Yeah, all that stuff is all that stuff we're looking into. So stay tuned with that. So right, so coils. Okay, coils. Baz has got a question. Okay, so this is a good question actually, Baz. I'll put this up on the screen. So with a double D, the question is, with a double D coil, do you balance it up and down? Warren from NQ Explorer said you could ground balance it from side to side. Does it widen your coil range? Sort of, yeah. So when you're ground balancing up and down, right, you're ground balancing the ground that's underneath the coil, given. With some of these newer machines that are coming out, where the ground's quite variable, if you balance from side to side, you can actually open up the ground balance window, which means that over more variation, the machine stays ground balanced. So if you're balancing from side to side, it opens that window up, so it'll be ground balanced in that section instead of just in that section. Certainly if you're side balancing some of these VLF machines, you will, like on the beach, it makes them dramatically better to drive, and certainly in the goldfields it tends to be that highly mineralised ground that they're better at. So not all machines will have that ground balance window option, so just bear that in mind and see if your machine has got the option to have a wider ground balance window, would be my advice to you. Some of the newer machines do. So I know the Max does. I'm not sure about any of the others. So right. So Tony just asked a question here: if a double D machine a double D coil will pick up gold. All coils will pick up gold, doesn't matter. All machines will pick up gold. The difference with a machine that's that's better for gold is that it can handle the ground mineralisation out in the bush much better than what a machine that's not designed for gold. So it's more about the ground that's surrounding your target more than what the target is you're looking for. So that highly mineralised ground out in the bush, some of it's magnetic. I don't even think I've got a magnet here, but some of this ironstone is so magnetic that you can just pick it up. I've got some ironstone here, but you can actually just throw a magnet on the ground, it just turns into a ball. That sort of country, you've got to have a machine that can cope with that ground, with that ground. So if you need a machine that can tune that out. And that sort of leads me to my next point, is that if you're looking for gold, or you're looking for certainly gold, but also on the beach, in the wet sand on the beach, you really need a machine that's got a ground balancer on it. And what that is, it's basically a setting where you can just tune the ground out, and it doesn't hear the ground as much. Out in the some of these VLF machines will still be noisy. You won't be able to completely tune the ground out in these really extreme situations, but you'll be able to tune most of the ground noise out, so they'll be easier to run. Yes, so those machines start at about $700 or $800 for a ground balancing machine. There are some specials around at the moment, but generally that's about the price of them. In saying that, you can still go to the goldfields with a machine that doesn't have a ground balancer on it, and you still can find gold. But what you need to do is you need to reduce your sensitivity, and when you're reducing your sensitivity, you're reducing your depth. So that's the downside of taking a machine that doesn't have a ground balancer out in the goldfields. The reason, back to Tony's original point about the double D coil, the reason we put a double D coil on is because on a VLF machine there's less ground under the coil. So if there's less ground under the coil, you get less ground noise in the machine. So that's the long, convoluted description of coils in a roundabout ground balancing sort of way. So okay, I'll just pick up. Daryl's got a very good question here, which leads on from what we were just talking about. So auto tracking, or ground tracking, any of those names that they call things. That is just letting the machine, if you walk into an area where it's low mineralisation, the machine will eventually catch up to it. If you walk into an area and the mineralisation is going up, the machine will follow it. What can happen if you're using an auto track like that is you can tune a very small nugget out. So you've got to be careful using that in the gold fields because it can tune a little tiny nugget out. So you just need to be a bit careful with that auto ground balance. So, okay. Am I taking my glasses off too much, guys? Is that what's happening here? Trevor's right here in saying that ironstone and salt both affect ground balance. There's a whole stack of things that affect ground balance. Certainly, even the moisture in the ground can affect your ground balance. Some of the wet days, your machine will go far deeper than what'll happen on shallow days. So, right. So. Okay, so let's talk about machines. Okay, now this is a bit of a funny subject because I'll never mention enough machines. So let's group machines together. So, and I know the Garrett stuff really well. So I know the Garrett stuff back to front. So if I end up with more Garrett, forgive me. So if you look at some of the Garrett ones, like all the Ace machines, you look at Technetics, Alpha, Beta, Delta, some of the cheaper Bounty Hunter ones. So we're talking about machines up to about $500. I'm excluding the 705, the Minelab 705. Then you've got all the Noctis, there's stacks and stacks of machines, right? So that in that bottom group, there's no ground balancing on the machines. So they're really good machines for parks, relics, dry sand on the beach, some stuff in the gold fields where the ground's not too heavily mineralised. If you're starting to look for gold, you need to start looking at so gold and wet sand on the beach. You need to start looking at the Garrett ATs, AT Pro, AT Gold, AT Max. You need to start looking at Equinoxes, 2 Equinoxes, 705. I notice it's fairly cheap at the moment. There's very good prices on those 705s because I think they're discontinued. Those 705s are being replaced by the Equinox. Yes, so there's that group of, and like Fisher F75s, G2 from Technetics, Bounty Hunter do a Land Ranger Pro and Quick Draw Pro maybe. So there's a stack of machines in that middle price point, and there's not huge differences between, well, there is huge differences between them, but a $1,000 machine from one company will perform very similar to a $1,000 machine from another company. So, so then you step up to a more select group with the VLF machines. So those, and they're the higher end VLF machines. So you're talking XP Deus and CTX 3030. There's some of the new macro Noctis stuff's coming out. I think it's very high end too. So there's some high end machines like this and the 3030 coming out that are very good machines, and they're the next step up. So I've been a bit neglectful of pricing. So these machines, XP Deus and CTX 3030, are in that sort of $1,800 to $2,500 bracket. That middle bracket is sort of $750, $800 to sort of $1,400, that sort of bracket. So I've sort of grouped the VLF machines into 3 groups. There's good machines and there's bad machines in amongst all that. There's new machines, there's, you know, old machines. Yeah. So, yeah, so there's stacks and stacks of these machines. So just ask around, do some research, don't buy from China, and yes, whatever you do, Gold Monster is one I've forgotten. That's a VLF machine from Minelab. So there's stacks and stacks of these machines. So I'm going to extract myself from the machine debate as quickly as possible, and yes, go from there. So I will touch on the pulse induction machine. So when we're talking about the pulse induction machine, there's really the only reason you'd have a pulse induction machine is if you were looking specifically for gold, or you're doing some, or you were diving, I suppose. But let's focus on the gold. So pulse induction machines, you've got Whites, you've got Garrett, you've got Minelab. Minelab have probably got the 7000 is probably, the thing with these machines is, the pulse induction machines, you can go over, you can have a $10,000 machine, you can go and buy a 7000Z, and it will miss things that the 5000 will find, and vice versa. So there's not one solution, and same with VLF machines, there's not one solution. It will miss things that another machine will pick up. So there's not one solution. So we've got 7000, 5000, 4500, SDC 2300, Garrett ATX, in no particular order. Whites do some, like everyone does a pulse induction machine. I think that the ATX, like people always ask me about the ATX versus the Minelab. I think it sits in there somewhere with them. I know for small gold, the ATX with the 8-inch monocoil is fantastic. So, yeah. Yes. So that's a lot. And David makes a good point here with the 5000, is that the 5000 you can change the coils on them, and that's where the ATX comes into its own against the SDC. Is the ATX, you can change the coils on it. So so there's lots of, like, we're getting into a complicated world of hurt for me. And therefore I get questions, what do you recommend, what machine? So that's what this leads to, and you know, if you buy Garrett Minelab XP, you just can't go too far wrong. So, yeah. So let's talk about old machines. Some of the old machines, some of those old SD 2200s and 2100s, some of the old Garrett groundhogs, we had some, at our detecting day, we had some fantastic Garrett machines out there, all done up and repaired and just look brand new, some of them. So some of those old machines are still, their performance-wise, they've fallen back in the field, but they're still very good machines, don't get me wrong. So they are great machines. So, right, so let me just do our bit for our sponsors here. So tonight's prize, Garrett Deluxe Gold Pan Kit. This is the one with the 4 pans in it rather than the 3. In about 20 minutes, we'll be drawing this out. Now you need to share this live stream for it to go into the draw, and in 20 minutes we'll run our randomizer that'll pick a random person that's shared out of the group, and I'll send that prize out. I'll contact you straight after the show, and we'll send that prize out tomorrow. We'll also do a couple of draws for this white box. Well, actually 2 of these white boxes. They actually have coffee mugs in them, so we'll send out a couple of coffee mugs. Yes, very, very important. If you're buying second-hand, ring the manufacturer and check the serial number. There is so many machines out there that are being stolen, and they'll get stolen and they'll sell them cheap, and all of a sudden you've got a stolen machine. So always check the serial numbers when you buy second-hand. Okay, so let me just touch on kids. Okay, it's a great hobby to get into for kids. This machine is one of the best price machines that work. It's actually the cheapest machine I could find that works. It's a little Bounty Hunter Junior. Basically, let me just turn him on here. This might be a bit noisy, but basically 3 emojis on the screen. Really, really simple machine. You probably can't see that really clearly, but 3 emojis. Quite a cool little machine. My young bloke, who is 2, can't use this, but he's not far away. So that's a $159 machine, and it works. And you can extend the shaft out. I don't know how tall that is, but it's probably, you know, suitable for kids up to 10, I suppose. Maybe a little bit older, but that's a fantastic machine. So the most important thing with kids is that they have to find stuff. I don't care if you plant it, but if you need to plant it, because otherwise they will lose interest very, very quickly. I've had people come in here and they will buy a machine like this for their kids, and that's their pocket money. They go over to the park, and that's their pocket money, and they can make a bit of little bit of money for you. So, like we've got Trevor's daughter won the junior, and she loves it. One 4-year-old begs me to buy her a detector. That's a great metal detector for her. So that would be my suggestion to you. Okay, so what else is happening? Treasure Hunters here asks a question about a Go Find. Will the Go Find 20 perform the same as a Bounty Hunter Junior? Maybe. I haven't spent a whole stack of time with the Go Find 20, so I'm not 100% sure. It would be a good machine, I would think. So yeah, Brett says the same thing. So right, so let's get a couple of questions here from last week. The Garrett Z-Link Pro Pointer, I keep getting questions about the Z-Link Pro Pointer. It won't be, I don't believe they'll be out in Australia until the end of this month. So people that keep asking me about the Z-Link, that's what's happening with that. So the Z-Link Pro Pointer, really the difference between it and the standard Pro Pointer is it connects directly with the headphones, the Garrett headphones, which you've only got with the Z-Link system or the AT Max. So it won't work on any other Garrett headphones. So just bear that in mind. We've got some people here. There are lots of good finds coming out too recently. There's meteorites. Terry last week found a meteorite on the beach. There's been some good silver coins coming out recently. Matt's just saying he found an old brass wickle and belt buckle under a house I worked on last week. Yeah, so. Okay, so I've got a question here from Sean. What do you think about the GoPros? What do you mean, the cameras? I like the cameras. I use a GoPro a fair bit, clearly. Now, there was a question here a little bit, I think it was from Baz. Was there a... there was someone asked about, who had an idea about my background picture. If you could just, I've lost you in the comment feed, but I thought that was actually quite a good idea from what I saw of it as it whizzed by. So if you can just repeat that. I think it was something about people sending in pictures for the backdrop. That was a cracking idea, whoever that was. So yes, this is turning into a bit of a problem here. We might need an AA hotline for you blokes if I keep taking my glasses on and off. So Trevor's just mentioned here he's a bit concerned about it. So I wouldn't try and do it. I'd take them on and off about 30,000 times a day. So yes. Yeah, Baz. So what was your Baz? Baz has just owned up to the background. What was your idea with the background, Baz? I thought that was pretty good. Yes, it's a bit cold here. So anyway, so let's just talk about the licences. In most states, a gold fossicking licence only allows you to dig, to go fossicking on areas that you have permission to go on. So in Queensland, a fossicking licence only allows you to go into fossicking areas. So it doesn't allow you to go into state land, it doesn't allow you to go on private property, it doesn't allow you to go anywhere else but where you've got permission for. So it's something people have got to bear in mind, that you need permission to to get on these to get on these lands. You can't just wander in a state forest and do that. Other states have different rules, but you just got to bear that in mind. So I've got there's people here. People are running out of booze, and yes. So Baz, we might have a bit of a competition. That's a cracking idea about the send in a photo. If people want to send me in a photo and see it on the backdrop, feel free. We might have a backdrop of the week, but I'll need a little bit of story with each of the backdrops. So. So that will be perfect. So this is a very good question here from Colin. Now we're a bit off topic. Have you heard how the new areas at Claremont are performing? The new areas, there's a lot of gold being promoted that is coming out of there, and there is a lot of gold coming out of there. The new areas are in the state forest. They're only new areas to people who respect the law. There's been plenty of fence jumping going on up there at Claremont for a lot of years. It is state forest, so there is good gold coming out of there, because now you can legally go in there and you don't have to sneak around and all that sort of thing. But there is good gold up there and coming out of there, and it's a bit of a gold rush up there at the moment. So if you're anywhere within Cooee of Claremont, it's probably this winter be probably a good opportunity to get into that state forest up there, into the new areas, and into the new areas and have a good go. Also, bear in mind that some of the old areas are still producing pretty well. Certainly, well, I know of someone with I know of someone with an ATX who's been doing quite well in the town common, which was surprising. But if you can get into some of those areas that and a bit unique, yes. So, right. Cameron, I've got a point. Oh, Cameron makes a point here. Let me just push Cameron's thing over here. So Cameron, I believe it's only 80% of the world's gold that's been found, not just Australia. So they've worked that out somehow or other. Some of them smarter than me. Yes. So, okay. So we've only got 10 minutes to go before we draw the prize for this, the gold pan kit. So to win the gold pan kit, you need to share this live stream. It will go in about 10 minutes time where we randomly draw out this from one of the shares, and I will contact you straight after the show and get this out to you tomorrow. We're also giving away, I've got 2 of these mugs, Gold Diggers mugs. These are only a limited edition. I don't know whether we'll be getting, how many of these we'll be getting. So I've got 2 more of these this week to give away. And so don't forget to share. For those who don't know it, I'm Ben from Gold Diggers. We do this every Monday night. And I've got a little shop here in Brisbane. So if I can help you out, give me a call through the week. So that's who we're doing. So let's get some more questions here before we do this draw. Mark's got a good question here. Did we get Mark? Where's Mark? Mark. The goldfields at Warwick any good for a detector or only for gold panning? So this is another side of the debate with, if you want to get into prospecting, if you want to get into gold and you haven't got $1,000 to go and buy a Gold Monster or a Equinox or a AT Max, right? My suggestion would be is to get yourself some good pans. Get yourself when you get sick of the pans and you've got a little bit more money, get yourself a little sluice and start running some gold through. You'll be surprised how quickly you can end up with some gold just by running sluices and pans. If you're pretty consistent and you try and put some quantity through, that's the best way to get into gold. You would be better off going and spending like these are $100 pan kit. You would be better off going and doing that, buying that for $100, than what you would be going and buying a detector off eBay from China for $100. By a country mile, you will find more gold. So, don't think just because you can't quite find afford to buy a decent detector, you can't find gold. Yes, you can, and you can do it very, very cheaply. There's no doubt about that. So, yes, Bill, we have an online shop. It's called golddiggers.com.au. Thoughts on boosters on GPX? Yes, I would run a booster on a GPX. Just hear those faint sounds. Yeah, phenomenal addition. There's some boys on here tonight that use boosters a lot. Maybe they could talk you through what the advantage of the boosters are. But yes, I would use a booster all the time. So we can do Chris. We can do a show on pro pointers, pin pointers. It's always a good show. It's just a bit difficult in here with the amount of metal and electricity running. If you look around me, I've actually got 3 screens in front of me, all these lights, cameras running. So it's very hard to do a segment on pinpointers. with this much electricity around. So yes, we will do a segment on pinpointers, but we may have to look at some other way to do it. So yes, but we will do one. We will go back to the pinpointers because it is a vital part of the hobby, and we should look at it. So right, so 25. So 5 minutes left to go into the draw to win this. So all you've got to do is share this live stream. It will go, and I will draw it in about 5 minutes time. So get amongst it if you want to share this and win the prize. Right. So. Anthony asked a question about using boosters on VLF machines. Not normally, Anthony, but I'm sure people do it. Nathan, thank you very much for sharing the link to the website. You're a superstar. There's Cleggy's shared it too. Thank you, Cleggy. You've earned your cup, mate. Yes. Oh yes, Gold Advanced Training, the Facebook group, the closed Facebook group, is having a get together at Denali on the 23rd, right? And we've donated a pinpointer to them because they're a great bunch of blokes. It's not true, the rumours you hear about them. They are lovely people. Just kidding, just kidding. They yes, so it will be that will be a really good get together. I'd love to get down there, but it's just impossible. So yes. Actually, next week, Neil makes a good point. Next week's prize is it might not be next week. At some stage, we'll give away a prize with the USB stick. We've never given away one of them. We have given away once, but I'm actually out of the USB sticks. We actually get these USB sticks that are shaped like a gold bar. So we'll send one of them with the next. That'll be the next prize once we get these the USB things. So right. So what have we got? What time is it? 3 minutes you've got left to share. That's a good idea. So I will go through a lot of these comments. I'm missing stacks of these comments, so I will go through them and answer a lot of them afterwards. There's a whole lot of stuff, like people I quite often guess, is there gold at Warwick? Is there gold at Maryborough? Are they finding gold here? Are they finding gold there? There is gold in so many places. If you were to go on to if you were to go on a website, if you look at my USB stick with the website with the GPS locations of a lot of the gold mines, the amount of gold mines up the east coast of Australia is incredible. You cannot go too far on the east coast of Australia. You cannot go too far without running into a gold mine. So there is gold coming out in huge quantities. Like Western Australia at the moment, Kalgoorlie there's gold coming out of there everywhere. So, you know, there's a lot of gold coming out. So there's no excuses for no gold, no gold, no gold. So, Baz, if it's one of my USB sticks, just give me a ring tomorrow. I'll sort it out. So we can do that for you. Clothing would be good. Yes, I'll be doing that. Right. 8:29. 1 minute left. So let me just refresh my page here and get the randomizer up and running. Yes, so we've got 800 odd shares, well over 800 shares tonight. So thank you very much, everyone who's shared the who shared the stream tonight. So we've got to choose 3 prizes tonight, and we'll just let it go a little bit further, and then we'll stop it there, and we'll run this randomizer. Then we'll just, who's it pulled up here? Okay, so the winner of the gold pan kit is Gary. Gary, where's Gary from? Gary is from Wangaratta. Congratulations, Gary. So the gold, the mug, we've got 2 mugs to give away. It has, one of them is from Brad. Oh, Brad's in Brisbane here. Oh, good. So Brad's won one of the mugs, and the other mug goes to Hayley from somewhere. No idea. No address up on the site. So so they're our 3 winners tonight. So next week, I believe we're going to have a little special guest on. I'll announce that in the coming couple of days. So, and we'll have a topic all picked out and all ready to go. So we're going to have a special guest on. You'll have to wait for a couple of days and look for the post. Yes, we can go from there. Warren is away at the moment. He's going away next week, I think. So he'll be away for a week or 2, so we won't see Warren for the next few weeks, but that's all right. We'll have some other special guests on. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining me tonight. It's another fantastic show, and it's great to be here with you. So thank you very much. Oh, and before I forget, don't forget we're trying to push Warren's NQ Explorers YouTube channel up to 10,000. So if you haven't been on, if you haven't subscribed to Warren's NQ Explorers page, make sure you do. Righto, I'll see you all next week. Thanks.